Nathan, thank you for coming in and just having a candid discussion about, I guess, your journey and the two things that we worked on. So anyway, welcome Nathan, and the business you operate is?
It's Fitness Cartel Australia.
Okay, and how long has that business been going for?
Since December, so that's a large format gym facility across Australia at the moment.
Yeah, and how many gyms are currently open?
3, and we've got 27 more opening.
And how many are opening in this calendar year?
This calendar year, another 2, so.
So that's gone from something that didn't exist to having 5 opening and operating by the end of the calendar year.
Absolutely, yes.
So well done, huge start. And the brand's doing really well. Ultimately, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to get to where that is. And probably the biggest thing that I would say we worked on would be overcoming your fear.
Oh yeah, let's talk fear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So let's talk about what it is we had to overcome and how moving past fear was managed in that process.
I'll start with me being booted out of my company, which was another franchise, and we had 30 gyms in that one too. So getting booted out, and we've all had those stories of booted. I was sad, upset. I had to restart again, and basically at that point was there's some big problems. I almost got my gyms taken off me. So that's when Steve and I caught up. And we went through and we had the whiteboard session, and we broke down some of the things he was talking about, like we compartmentalize, I think you said, break it into smaller chunks. But at that
point, there was an aspiration, hope as to where you wanted to be, and you had consultants around you that were very good, and credit to them. But do you feel as though if we had these sessions, if those sessions didn't exist, do you think you would have had the same outcome?
No, not at all. They were different. It's a different mindset. You were strategic. It's more about this is what we're doing and breaking it down.
So we had the legal expertise in these people, but ultimately in these sessions, we found the strategy that gave you the muscle.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Well, look, you're right. The legal people were advised on legal stuff and said this is what you do, but they had no idea what to do with the other stuff as well. And that was really scary. It was scary not knowing the next steps, and like anything, like where do you go? How do you move forward? That's what we went through in detail. And then how do you get past that stuff? Because I was freaking out, as you know.
Yeah. I actually remember, it's funny when you talk about it, what comes back to me is on one of the occasions, because you're a phenomenal father, and those kids, you had those in the room because you had to fit that in. And I'll never forget, we're at that point in the whiteboard, and it felt like a hopeless case. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember.
Yeah, I can see the emotion coming back to you right now. And do you remember so Xander was just there minding his own little business. Do you remember when he popped up, what he said that you needed to keep doing?
Oh yeah.
What did he say?
Just so you know, Xander looks like the little kid out of Stuart Little. Exactly like that kid.
He actually
Yeah, he does. And he goes, Dad, do you know what Johnny says to do when you've got a problem you can't get past? Just keep swimming, keep swimming.
That's what he said.
And we both looked at each other and went, wow. What did you say, the truth?
Straight out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah.
Which means babies.
Yes.
Because they're young children, they just say it how it is. And so we just bunkered down and kept focusing on that solution, which was to be strategic.
Yeah, and I had 2 full days where I pretty much locked down and went through the whole, how do we get forward, what do we do? How do I deal with this and where do we move? And then the other thing was like changing our whole culture and what we were to what's fracturing stereotypes and being different.
So if we take the first part, coming over fear, or coming over that feeling of fear.
Yep.
I guess the very first thing that you would say that coaching or having the right person in your camp does is help you overcome that fear and focus on the strategy, focus on what the actions need to be in order to find the solution.
Absolutely, and I think, with education and with that clarity comes confidence. So when you've got someone too that's not exactly in your industry, that can say, look, this is what I'm doing, or in your industry, they can actually break it down and say, look, these are things, and give you a different overview and a different plan, which is what you need to do. I know you and I know where you've come from. So you've come from being raised with a single mum like me with nothing. So I know that you're like me, and that's why you've got a G-Wagon and you've got lots of properties and stuff too. And I know you laugh, he's uncomfortable talking about this stuff because you're very modest. But buying a boat and all that stuff too. I tell people, I said, my mate Steve's got 15 properties, he bought a boat, bought a big boat and a G-Wagon. I'm gonna get a bigger one. No, and we've been friends for years and we were brought up the same way. And this is what I mean, like if you're gonna go talk to someone or if you're going to a financial advisor, you better show me your bank account.
Yeah,
if you're gonna buy a
exactly.
property, why would you go to a broke real estate agent and say, look, show me how to invest in real estate? If you know how to invest in real estate, you should have properties, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like blowing up on Instagram going, show me the money.
It makes so much
No.
sense, doesn't it? But we're taught completely different to that, which is look for someone with qualifications rather than look for the person who has it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then ultimately, when you think about it, the legislation that is in place, I know it's to protect the end user, but you've got people who are in wealth creation that don't have wealth giving wealth advice. You've got people who have wealth that don't have a degree in wealth creation that aren't allowed to give advice.
No.
It's crazy, isn't it?
No, well, there's no, I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, it is what it is.
We could talk about it for hours.
We could, and it both rates us.
Yeah, and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all those guys too. I mean, there's some things that we've all read and stuff too, and it talks about the rich dad and the poor dad and those sort of things. It resonates. We didn't even have a dad.
Well, I did. I had multiple dads.
But that's what I mean. Like that's the thing. That's kind of what you've been putting together and helped me with as well. And we're trying to work together, build something so people
Look
can
for
go.
a dad.
No, we're not doing look for a dad.
No,
but
we're not.
how can you find someone that can actually, with credibility, that's actually doing what you want to do and that's no bullshit?
Yes.
That actually will show you and say, look, no, because Steve and me, we were like nearly going to wrestle at one stage. In fact, I think we did have a friendly wrestle, because he's like, wake up to yourself. And I'm like, no, you wake up to yourself. And then I was like, and then we broke it down and wrote on the board. My kids are watching going, oh, you guys are crazy. And we do. You've got to be.
We are crazy.
You've got to be that level of crazy to be successful.
Well,
though.
because reasonable people don't achieve unreasonable things. You want to be extraordinary, you got to have an unreasonable level of thinking. And I think that even if you are crazy, at that point, at any point, when you're experiencing something new, in order to have growth, it's going to feel difficult. And that level of fear comes in at a particular point, and sometimes you can't see the target. So it's having that person that says, no, hang on a second, nothing ever gets done that's exceptional by a reasonable person. We've got to be unreasonable in finding a solution.
Absolutely, and I want to talk about the culture stuff, because we do a great job in my businesses as far as culture. But I think one of the things that I did, we've got the name tags that you guys use here,
Yep.
the lanyards as well.
Yep.
We put them in and introduced that as well. And I did the seminars, like you said, and we recorded it all and dropped it into and had the culture sessions as well. That's one of the things that's really changed our organisation, and I've got everyone's teaching culture.
And I think that's a big thing. You know what I was going to say? So step one was overcoming fear, finding a way out of the impossible. You achieved that, and well done. Congratulations. Then here you are, new brand, standing there in the wide open, going, oh my goodness, now here we go. An unknown brand, what do we do? So did you focus on colour? Did you focus on advertising? Or did you focus on culture, defining the brand, and then proposition? What did you do first? Colour, advertising, go hard? What did you do?
No, well, you nailed it here, and I've watched you, and that's why you're the most successful real estate agency in Newcastle by far. And I tell people that all the time. The culture here, I mean, we're sitting in a place that looks like a lounge room, which is like a really cool lounge room, by the way, not like a normal lounge room.
Thank you.
It's different, like it's got to be different, and that's how we started to go, okay, well, we're going to work on making it look different, but not only look different, feel different, the way the staff greet people. And I've always said, because we've had The Rock turn up at one of my gyms as well.
Cool.
And I said, I want you to imagine though that every person is The Rock, and which is what you said here, so that you get the meeting, the greeting, that sort of thing, the follow-up. All those things resonated. So the culture thing is, I've always thought about it for a long time. I just didn't know how to put it together with what you've done.
Yes.
Because you've nailed the culture and the stuff that you've done with Disneyland.
Yes.
And your coaches and the people you put on, the people don't think that. They think they're doing it. They actually don't have any idea what they're doing.
So what's beautiful is that you've had people talk to you about culture before, you've had people talk to you about defining your why before, but you weren't provided with a formula or a strategy
not at
or
all.
structure on how to really design it and put it in place. So you had a blank canvas, and then with that blank canvas, what did you walk away with? So people see your brand today, but what was the framework as to what you worked through? What were you given?
Well, we've got the manual now. So we've got the manual which goes through basically from start to finish of what our culture is, who we are, our why, our vision, our mission, all those sort of things. And I know people talk, but they don't. It's rubbish. They just put a thing on the wall and they don't really believe it. So we did the stuff that you said. We put it into the manual. I was reading it every single night before I go to bed because I wanted to live this. You know, like you've got to, like you said, like you can't walk. You walk through and everyone's got that culture.
Yes.
And it made a huge difference because people are coming in, they're saying, and you told me too, it said people don't know what it's different, but it's just different. And like you said, and so it is cool. And I know you're smiling because you'd said it would happen, and I'm like,
and it is.
Yeah, it's happening, and people are coming back. I did an interview for a Fitness Australia, which is it's an industry of the fitness, and then it got picked up by another company, Fitness Australasia, went to 2 million people.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're like, we've only got 3 gyms now, and I was like, wow, they want to know what we're doing different in the industry, and I'm like, this is really cool.
Because you're making noise.
Yeah,
and
we're making noise. We're disrupting people, like you said.
That's right, you're disrupting an industry.
That formula that you've given us though, the booklet, the different pieces and all those bits and pieces, is really one of the major changes from us. Like we can build, like anyone can build.
Is that how you honestly feel?
Yeah, honestly.
So you feel that cultural structure is what the magic source is, if there was one, in being able to have the foundational elements in place to duplicate and roll out gym after gym.
Mate, I believe, and honestly believe it. I don't make stuff like that up. I actually wouldn't refer anyone. If Steve wasn't good, I would say don't use him. I don't refer anyone generally because my word and the people I recommend, they have to be good. Like we've got that level. It's the same with the culture as well. We've put that into an automated program system so that everyone can rewatch it again because I can't be with all my team members at the same time.
So you were with one of Australia's considered or world's strongest brands, right?
Yes.
Did they have anything like this in place?
Nothing at all.
Did they provide this level of development to their business owners, to their business partners? Was there anything at all?
No, and I'll tell you something. They've built beautiful gyms, and I'm not going to say the company, but no one. People would leave saying, I hated the owner, I met this person, they were rude, the person by reception was ignoring me. That was what was in my industry before, and I was like, that was horrible.
Which is not brand specific, it's just in the industry because no one, like you can be part, because you're also part of another big organisation as well. You've been part of quite a few.
Yep.
None of them have had this level of understanding, platform, procedures, structure on how to deliver this level of experience. Like you've created an experience-based industry. So I was just curious to find out, and do you believe what we're talking about could help any business?
Absolutely, yeah.
How?
Look, first you've got to implement it. You've got to believe it. Like you can't just say, I'm going to do this and not put it in. You've got to add it and want to change. I can see the result. Like if you're like me and I'm a visionary, I know where I'm going. I know what I want. And I think most entrepreneurs that are legit know what they want. I mean, if you want to open a business and go, I'm just going to open a business, you're probably going to go broke.
Correct.
Yeah, unless you've got a business plan, but on top of a business plan, your plan should be, part of your business plan is having staff and making sure your staff and your team are equipped with the experience and the training and the culture. Because I mean, we know you can't train. You've wrote it on Instagram, you can't teach somebody will.
No.
You can teach them skill.
Can't teach them will.
You can't teach them will. So if you get that in, you get that will, and then you go, okay, you can skill them and add the bits and pieces of the culture into it. And you can turn them, a donkey into a racehorse. Maybe a stallion into a racehorse.
I like that. So Nathan, you said one thing, and I think it's important to finish on that because there's plenty of people that are in business and they probably can't define why they're in business, and they're going to head for trouble. They don't even realise it. So could something like this help someone like that make sure that they have a strong reason that's driving them and propelling them forward? Can it assist someone, or is it just as simple as this? If you don't have the will to put your business first, if that isn't a priority for you, do you have a chance? What should you do?
I think if you're not willing to put that in place, then you probably shouldn't be in business.
Yep.
You probably should work for someone like me or you that will put that in place, because reality is that's where you'll end up. If you haven't got, that's what the example, and I've seen this firsthand because I've seen huge gyms worth $5-10 million fit outs, built the nicest gyms, but they've been run terribly and they've gone broke. And I've seen that in other industries as well, then they haven't got the culture right. You've walked in, and there was one I just went to recently. We couldn't join. We couldn't give them our money.
Wow.
We couldn't pay them, and I was worried because they built this $20 million gym, and I'm thinking, shit, I don't want to open there. I'm scared of them. I went and looked, couldn't join. We were going to join,
Crazy.
so I'm going to open next door and I'll take all the money because people are going to join. But it's not that. It's the fact that the staff, the girl behind the counter said, oh, there's a class on, I can't show you.
Wow.
That's not the culture you want.
No.
That's that. And then if you're building a business and you haven't got the culture right from the reception, it's your fault.
It is your fault.
And that's what I mean. Like I was like, I knew there was an issue. I could tell. I know we're building great gyms. I've done it all my life. But I knew there was a piece missing, which is what I wanted.
And that's that element, fracturing stereotypes.
It's that 1%. It's the 1% between water and boiling water. That's the Usain Bolt.
One last question. If you were recommending or suggesting anyone were to come to Powered with Love, what would be the areas I'd work on first?
That you'd work on or they'd work on?
That they would work on. If they were to come here, sit down and say, well, you know what? Nathan sat there. Nathan's achieving these things. He's on track to have over 30 gyms, 5 this year alone. What should I be working on so then I can get my foundations laid so then I can start moving forward? Why would they come here? What would be the 1 or 2 things that they should focus on and get right before they go any further?
Look, I think they'd want a clear plan of what they want.
Yep.
I mean, obviously this is what I want and I want it to achieve. I mean, you'll pull it out of them anyway. You're going to say, look, tell me what you want, what we're going to achieve and where we're going to achieve it by. Overall, I think I know what you'll do. You'll do what I did. Like I was confused and had no idea. The reason I can't answer this is because I actually was so confused and didn't know what I wanted. I mean, I had an idea and I didn't know how to get there. So I think having a bit of an overall thing of what you want, but then I know you're going to pull that out of them because look, and this is the thing, the idea of having a coach, Federer is the greatest tennis player in the world and he has a coach. Usain Bolt is a sprinter. He has a coach. Like these guys have coaches. If you think you're going to be normal and not have a coach, you're an idiot.
It's not going to happen.
No, and I don't mean any disrespect for that, but I think it's obviously you need someone to say, look, that's what I mean. You're going to rip out of them what that make take them from that level they are now to the next level.
Step one would get an understanding as to where they're at, help them identify what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then the next thing they should work on?
Understanding where they are, what they want to achieve, and then the barriers and things that are going to be potentially in their way. So, which is what coaches do. So you pull apart.
Gaps, defining the culture, helping them lay down these foundations that then they can go and build on.
And the other thing that you did unpackage is the stuff that I was thinking could and would happen. And you're like, well, what if this happens here? And you're like, but what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? And then you reminded me of where you've come from and where I've come from. And you're like, say, well, hang on, look backwards. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh, wow, you're right. And look where you've come from and what you're doing.
And what we did, we kept assessing what could happen, a default plan if that happened. So we expected the best, prepared for the worst.
Yep.
Because what people always do, they just simply look at what could happen from a negative perspective. We don't have a strategy for that. So therefore, we don't even bother having a strategy for what we want.
Yeah.
And that becomes that blockage.
Yeah.
Nathan, thanks for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you, man.
Looking forward to working with many people just like yourself.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.